Good morning. My name is Tracy Humphrey,
And my name's Abigail Glass.
and we are MSW students from the University of Memphis. Today, we hope to gain your support for House Bill 1384, brought forth by Representative Raper, and Senate Bill 0181 by Senator Wally.
This bill, as introduced, deletes the criminal offense of aggravated prostitution and permits a person to have a prior conviction for aggravated prostitution that was the result of the person's status as a trafficking victim expunged if the person meets certain criteria.
Currently, the code in the state of Tennessee states that a person commits the offense of aggravated prostitution when they knowingly engage in sexual behavior as a business transaction or loitering in a place for the purpose of being hired for sexual activity and knowingly are living with HIV. Tennessee is the only state in the nation that requires people to be on the violent sex offender registry for life if they are convicted of engaging in sex work while HIV positive. The law elevates what would be a misdemeanor conduct to a felony only because of the individual's HIV status.
Currently, aggravated prostitution is a Class C felony offense. Individuals who have been convicted of aggravated prostitution are categorized as violent sexual offenders and are required to register as violent sexual offenders for life. Fines and sentences for this conviction are imprisonment of 3 to 15 years and fines up to $10,000.
The fiscal note for this bill would reduce state expenditures for a total of decrease of state funding of $232,100 within 3 years.
On February 16th this year, the Department of Justice filed a lawsuit against the state of Tennessee for the current aggravated prostitution law, citing violations of the Americans with Disabilities Act as it unlawfully discriminates against people living with HIV. The Department of Justice lawsuit claimed that individuals living with HIV positive status are subject to harsher criminal penalties for engaging in prostitution due to their HIV status.
So, why should you support this bill? Currently, the harsh reality of being convicted with aggravated prostitution means having to register as a violent sex offender for life. This causes extreme restrictions on where an individual can live, work, and even go in public. Registrants may not live or be employed within 1,000 feet of a school, childcare facility, or near churches that operate childcare centers. They are not allowed to visit public parks or playgrounds. People convicted of this offense may not be on the premises where those under the age of 18 are present if they do not have a legitimate reason for being there. For example, a parent on the registry may only drop off or pick up their child from school if they provide written notice of their registration status to the school. For those living in densely populated cities like Memphis, where the aggravated prostitution statute is most enforced, these requirements make it difficult for people to find housing and employment.
Also, registration requirements are overly burdensome and expensive. Individuals typically must report to the sex offender registry in person 4 times a year to the registration and pay an annual fee of $150.
Another harsh reality for individuals living with this current conviction phase is the public disclosure of their protected medical and health information. The disclosure of personal health information may cause intrinsic harm simply because the private information is now publicly available. It poses economic and psychological harm to individuals. It causes isolation due to stigma. It is every person's right to have their medical and health information to be confidential and private.
The U.S. Department of State reports an estimated 27,600,000 individuals are victims of human trafficking at any given time in the world. Listen to this quote from President Barack Obama regarding victims of human trafficking. It ought to concern every person because it is a debasement of our common humanity. It ought to concern every person because it tears at our social fabric. It ought to concern every business because it distorts markets. It ought to concern every nation because it endangers public health and fuels violence and organized crimes. I'm talking about the injustice, the outrage of human trafficking, which must be called by its true name, modern slavery.
Victims are convicted and constantly re-victimized and re-traumatized by these overly harsh, discriminating, and barbaric laws. Support House Bill 1384, Senate Bill 0181. Delete this discriminatory statute, expunge convictions, remove the requirement for sex offender registrations, support victims in a trauma-informed lens because recovery is possible and every life is worth it. Thank you.